Hello, good morning. It's a Tuesday. So, today's thought of the day continues along the topic of last time, which was pretty much charity. I was just thinking yesterday that it's kind of interesting that like streamers as a business or from like a revenue standpoint, because essentially all of their revenue comes from donations. I'm sure that they have sponsorships that probably also contribute a significant amount, but I think for the most part they start off with a large part of the revenue coming from donations. And it's interesting to me that just people that are willing to spend so much money in donations for streamers. I'm just thinking streamers also do a great job sometimes in creating like charity streams, and they kind of raise millions of dollars, which is really mind-boggling to begin with. I think like the scale of streaming has been really quite incredible. I hear that one of the biggest streamers, like a switch from Twitch to Mixer, can be a contract that could be worth 8 figures. So pretty much idea is that why does streaming kind of have to be exclusively for gaming, right? Obviously, we're seeing a lot of different type of streams emerge, like dancing, cooking, eating, hanging out for the most part, chatting. I'm thinking, what if there's like a regular stream for charities? I think it is a good avenue to kind of get revenue, right? I hear that a lot of farms actually these days make most of their money off of YouTube, which is pretty shocking to me that the food they produce is actually not worth as much as the YouTube videos they make, because people are just interested in the kind of work that farmers do. And I think the same thing can be said for charities probably, where I think people are just naturally curious about what kind of work people in charities do, and also kind of adds a little bit of transparency to what they do. And it's a nice way to raise awareness for the charities. So I think it's a pretty interesting idea. I think like thinking about today in like COVID-19 era, you can think of maybe some people will be interested in watching a stream of people just sewing masks. And if you're already sewing the masks, you might as well put up a stream and let people know how you're doing it. And donating a map to the workers out there in the front lines. But yeah, pretty interesting idea. I think that'll be all for now. Today is another work day, so not much going on. As usual, I'll have to want to do exercise and sleep more. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, it's another meal of good old curry tofu with some cabbage and carrots and brown rice. Another vegan meal to boot. And a few strawberries. See you later. Why, hello there. End of a Tuesday, just getting started with the work week. So today I thought of something. Well, I didn't think about it. I guess I was inspired. Although it's kind of disturbing to think of it as being inspired, because I heard that the creator of the Conways Game of Life has passed away. It's inevitable that someone who made like great contributions to human civilization will pass away to coronavirus. It is indiscriminate in the lives it takes. But I think just like looking at the game of life, it's just actually fascinating to see how such a simple simulation can actually play out into wonderful patterns. But it's pretty fascinating. They just have a few set of rules for a certain pixel on the board, and then based on those rules, you can actually see like shapes move across the board. You can see creation of new shapes and whatnot. It's actually quite fascinating to look at. So I spent quite a bit of time just looking at the simulations of what happens with Conway's Game of Life. It kind of reminds me of Go in a sense, because Go really is a simple game with not very many rules, but you can actually have so many different patterns and strategies that surround the game. And it's a game so complex that humans over, I think, hundreds of years have not really mastered, which is why we created AlphaGo, so we created something that could master it, right? But yeah, I mean, it makes you think about how the world is just so complex at this point in time, but actually the humble beginnings of the universe is actually quite simple, right? I guess no one really knows what happened back then, but there are a few theories here and there. For instance, there is like a certain circumstance with the right amount of elements, and then with the right temperature, like with lightning striking these elements, they can actually form cell-like structures, which is quite impressive. And I guess at some point they had some kind of genetic information implanted in them, and then there you go, you've got life right there. It's really fascinating. I guess someday with greater compute power, we can actually make these simulations happen at a much greater scale. But yeah, I guess like things like that did come to the creation of something like coronavirus. The coronavirus like I guess it's only transmitted on bats until at some point it actually becomes effective enough to infect humans, and it can affect all of us while none of us have any immunity to it. So it's quite scary how things that can come out from just simple rules like that. So Conway's Game of Life, a definite look if you have a little bit of free time. But yeah, I'll see you later.